elite. You know? Yeah. Pour gasoline on the brain, got the flame for that. So you hating niggas refrain from that. A little bit of kitchen gang is whack, I let elite breathe.
Yo. What's up?
Yo.
What's good?
I'm home. How you?
Samesies.
Alright.
You had a 1.162 10-yard dash. Flying 10.
Flying 10. Yeah, I had him and another kid. They both had 116s today.
Say it again?
And I had two college kids do it, and they had 116s. One of them ran it twice. And yesterday, one of the high school kids ran a 118, a 1180, a 1186, and a 1202, I think.
Damn, that's fast. What do you hit? Did you try it?
I haven't done a flying 10 in like over a month, but last I did was a Blue was like right before the Blue left for his season. We both did it, but I think I was like I got like a 125 was my best, or like a 123 in that range.
Damn. And you set it up. Let me ask, what? So you do the flying 10s. How did you set it up before?
What do you mean?
Like I watched a video that you had, and you set it up. First
So
10 yards.
The tripods are at the 10-yard marker, right. And then the second gate's at the 20.
Got it. Because the first 10 is.
The first 10 is like a build-up. Is what I tell them.
That's exactly.
Basically, get your strides going for the first 5, and then as soon as you hit the 5, you gotta be at top speed so that you have 5 yards that you're maintaining that velocity through the gate.
That's fast.
Yeah, I had another kid, a high school kid yesterday. He ran like a 124, a 126, and a 125, I think.
Is 1.16 the fastest?
Yeah.
Do you know anybody else? Like, is there like a database or like standards that you can find online from like Joe DeFranco or something like that?
I haven't looked that up. The only guy that I see doing the flying 10 stuff is that dude.
Jim Jossie? Wadango?
Yeah, I've seen him, but a guy who like publishes them more, like posts about them more, is that guy Michael like Drax training.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Look up another guy. There's another guy named Mike Young.
Mike Young?
Yeah, I forget his place, but I forget where he's at, but he has a really big place. He's really good technically. I've seen him speak. He's really good. You could, like, you and I could both. I think I might have his PowerPoints.
Really?
Somewhere, yeah. I might have even forwarded it to you at some point. It was the 2017 when I went to IFAST seminar.
Right.
Or not IFAST seminar, but Indianapolis seminar or something like that. Really good, but yeah. Anyway.
That dude Michael Drax or Drax, whatever his name is, he's had kids like sub 1-1.
Because they've been training it.
Yeah, that, and I think they have more of a runway to get going.
True.
Also.
Yeah, makes sense.
I don't know if that plays a huge role in it, but like that's kind of where I'm basing it. Like, if you, I haven't told the kids, like if you break a 1-2, you're moving pretty good. Like even if you break a 1-3, you're moving pretty well. The average for my kids right now, I would say is like a 1.45 to like a 1.6.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Dang, man, I need to lose weight. I'm just too big. Like not even in a good way big. Like I'm just like I'm both. I mean I'm not skinny by any means, but I guess you could say I'm bulky and also like fat. Just like feeling it. Summer heat got me feeling it. I'm like trying to show kids some things and I'm trying to do some different stuff. Just movement wise, and I can do it, but it's just like, god damn. Trying to move, you know?
Yeah, that's why I just printed it. I was like, I feel pretty decent, and like I get texted you. I was like, my sprints lately have been sucking ass.
Yeah,
and you're like, I jumped. Yeah, I got 1.7 and a few 1.8s today. Once I got going.
Took you a little bit.
Yeah, it took me a little bit to get firing on all cylinders, and I think a few of the ones in the beginning, after watching a couple videos that I took,
Of yourself?
when I got into the 2-point like hinge, my hands were low, and I think when I would start my initial movement, my hand would swipe at the timer too.
That makes sense. I wouldn't. Yeah, you gotta think about that sometimes. Yeah, that'll fuck you up.
So then I looked down, like, all right. So then I kept my arms, tighter in the beginning, and that was when I started being more consistent at like the 1.8 range. Because I ran like a fucking 2.25 on one of them. I was like, holy shit, what is going on right now?
Is that you? And you also felt slow?
A couple of them, I felt like, all right, that didn't feel great. And then there were a few other ones where I was like, all right, I felt like I was floating better through the air.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, I really hate to say it, but like, getting older.
Yeah, and that's what's getting me. That's like, I haven't been sprinting as frequently either, so it takes me longer to get going now, which kind of sucks. Because in the spring when I was doing a loop, we were doing them like every day, and I was like consistently in the 1.7s. Like that was my average. Like I was pushing 1.5s and 1.6s. So I just gotta get back there. And I think the knee thing has slowed me down a little bit also. But after doing those pullbacks today, like my adductor is still tight.
Hey man.
Not like tight, but just like sore and somewhat tight.
It's 'cause you haven't done it in a while, probably.
Yeah, I haven't even programmed the pullback since like middle of the winter either. So like even when I did them, like I was lighting it up because I could hit it pretty good, and it's like the distal adductor like that.
Yeah.
Like probably like 3 to 4 inches, like right where the hip crease is, like going down the leg, the femur, and it almost felt like it was just a ball for like 10 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like I was uncomfortable after I did the third set of it.
Some would say that you need to not do it as hard, but you probably didn't do it as intense.
Yeah, I was trying to, I put myself in a good position, and I was working on it, but I was pushing down and pulling back pretty hard.
Hey man, I think that's part of it. Like you get that means you can offload pressure off of your knee and foot, and then you get some ankle dorsiflexion. You get that arch going too. Kind of set yourself up for success with that. Like what else do you need?
Yeah, it felt better throughout the course of the day too. Like it didn't bother me. Like even right now, it doesn't feel tight. Like the other day, I don't know why. Like my patella tendon, I mentioned that in the Facebook comment. Again, that felt like tight and just like sore. It wasn't even the Osgood. Like that's always gonna have, like it's got that point right now where it just feels like almost not bruised, but if there's some irritation. But the patella tendon the other night was giving me some issues, and that went away. I didn't hit lower body really.
Yeah.
The past couple of days, except for the RDLs and the step ups today. And then one of the college kids, I just like gestured to him like I was helping out with trap bar, and he had like 335 on. And then like I was gonna do like I went into the trap bar and I was down with.
Yeah, show him up like this is how you do it. Boom.
Yeah, and then he just kind of like nodded to me and like smirked. So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it here. I did it cold, and I hit 335 for 8 reps, and I could have did like 4 more.
Wait, today?
Yeah.
Yo, this guy.
Yeah, it felt pretty good. Like I got braced up and everything, and like it didn't even feel like much on my legs, and my knee didn't bother me. So, but yeah, the warm up today, I spent more time warming up and getting to all like the prehab stuff for what's been going on, and it felt better. Like when I did like a deep squat, and I just held it at the bottom, like not just holding like an ISO at the bottom, like a good technique. I just kind of just was like, let me go down as far as I can, and there was like really no tension at all in my knee. So
yeah, man, that's what's up. I like that.
I'm gonna do that. Try to get on that stuff every day now. and be consistent with it.
Yeah, man. Do it. Nothing
Yeah.
else to say but do it. Golly.
What ideas do you got?
It's interesting because, like, if you put out information into the world and you get a following, quote unquote following, whoever the fuck that is, following of what? Like, whatever, Instagram or anything, Twitter, whatever fuck. It's interesting for maybe a couple reasons. So, say you have a following, right? Okay, that's tough to get, first of all. But that means you're putting something out and you're getting good information out there. So you have a following now. Well, what's the next step? Do you just have a following for a following, or do you try to monetize that? And that's where it gets dicey. Because now you get dicey because the monetization, meaning you're saying you got seminars, you're saying you got this, you're saying you got t-shirts and da-da-da-da-da, all these things, right? It gets dicey because they didn't come to you for that stuff. They came to you for free information.
Right.
So it's like you gotta get over that hurdle, right? And then that's where I think of the Gary Vee stuff is you give, and then you ask. You know, like you give out 100,000 pieces of information, and then you like ask for one thing at the end.
Yeah.
That's like been a model in my head. I've been running with it. It's been working. It's awesome. It's good. But the two, if I could put a shade, right? Like glasses have shades or different colors, right? If there's different shades on that, the monetization idea, and you could take this idea however you want for TNL. I'll go in this in a couple different directions. You got long-term and then short-term ideas, or long-term or short-term goals or actions. You have, say, 20,000 followers on Instagram or anything. Then what happens is you start to monetize that. You start to say, I have seminars and I have a t-shirt and I have a this and I have a that. What happens when there's like 5 years down, so that's short term, like you start to sell stuff. That's great, you start to do well, okay. But what happens in the long term? And that's the question. Because we're all in the short term. Like when did Instagram start becoming prevalent? Like it was a thing in 2011, 2012, but nobody knew how to use it.
I was on it then.
I took a picture of a pizza and like a bike. Like I remember my first couple of Instagram posts.
I took a picture of cheese fries at school.
Right? It's just like you just do whatever. It's like, yeah, here you go, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
So, right, we begin to use it for other reasons. This is all Gary Vee stuff, but I'm just applying it to the fitness industry. The long-term scale of it, like I think it just started getting really prevalent like 2015, 2016, right? Give or take a couple months.
Yeah.
Like think about when you were doing your internship, what you were doing, who you're following, like where you got your information. Like I was still reading blogs.
Right.
You know, like who got information from Instagram at this level? Not Instagram in 2015. I'll tell you that much. So long term, it's like, what are we gonna be doing in 5 years? That's long term. Long term in reality is probably like a year or 2 years for the internet, right? All right. So where am I going?
Think about how much like Instagram's changed over the past year.
Stories, Instagram TV, swipe ups.
Yeah.
Those are all new. So monetization wise, you have to stay on top of it. So you're not you, but the general you're spending so much time, you're spending so much time doing this monetization side of things. Are you learning anything new?
Right.
That's the question. And if it's new for being new's sake, is it actually relevant? You can learn a bunch of new exercises. Is it relevant?
Yeah.
Speaking purely from the author perspective, like Drax or whoever you talked about, or anybody, Sergio, like imagine what Sergio's gonna do, ex-Sergio's gonna do in like 2 years for their technology. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows? So, you know, they're gonna have the G Sprint on the phone. It'll cost $300. So thinking about it like that, it gets a little bit different because it's like, okay, you're not learning any new information because now you're spending a lot of time on the push side of things, the selling side of things, the what's the word I'm looking for? The marketing side of things. And that's not wrong. You got to make money somehow. But if all you do is ask of your audience, how are you going to have any ability to get new eyes to your information? So this is a big step from where you are kind of right now, because it's like, I mean, for what it's worth, you're not putting out information like every 5 hours, for example.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're not putting out information at that level, you're not even thinking about monetizing. Like, it's not even in your mindset right now. Like, think about anybody that's putting stuff out at that level, and then they have like every other post is like a advertisement or sponsorship, for example, right? Like some random, I don't know, Fit Tea or some, you know, Lululemon advertisement or something, right? Whatever it is. So anyway, I'm like taking a huge macro kind of like perspective, because you're not learning anything new. Now, fast forward to if we can have like, you know, thinking endgame, there's two timelines here, right? In one world, you're doing the long game. In the other world, you're doing the short game. The short game, you're just doing advertising and marketing and learning how the kind of Instagram platform works, but you're not learning anything new. What happens in that 2-year time frame when there's more information that's actually relevant that you skipped out on? Does that make sense? Am I like it's like a devil's advocate? Is this kind of like heady? I know you're driving, but is this making sense?
Repeat that last part again.
You got two different timelines, like two different alternate realities. The first time alternate reality is you're doing the short game of monetizing your audience. You got 20,000 followers, you're getting seminars, you're doing t-shirts, which is great. You know, it's not wrong. At some point, you need to put food on the table. The second timeline, you're not posting as much, but you're learning things that cannot be learned online. Like you're going places, you're visiting people, you're doing things in person, because there's simply some things that can't be communicated via online.
Yeah.
Like you can't learn how to do a flying 10-yard sprint, dash, whatever you want to call it, by reading about it and looking at it. You know? Is this making sense?
Yeah.
So, in that longer timeline of learning something new that you can't exactly monetize in the moment, it's a longer term of an investment, is where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
At what point, so at what point is Instagram going to start to have degradation, right? Like, in my opinion, you know, we talked about this maybe briefly the other day, like, I don't want to bring noise, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
At what point is Instagram having so much noise, which isn't wrong, it's a product of the environment. It's just like how commercials were a lot of noise. So that's the point I was trying to bring up. Commercials are a lot of noise. When was the last time you watched like a TV show or a sports game of some sort? Whatever, Super Bowl, something like UFC, something, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever just sit there and watch a commercial?
I tend to do it when I'm watching them, and then other ones I tune out, depending on like the first 5 seconds.
Or you just sit on your phone, exactly, the first 5 seconds, you just go back to your phone or whatever the hell, right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean by degradation. The commercial's ability to hold your attention has degraded.
Right.
It's no longer as fascinating. I have a strong feeling that's what's going to happen with Instagram.
I mean, that's already happening, I think.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like
there are things that I used to be into, and now when I see them, I just scroll right past them because I don't really care for it anymore.
That long-winded conversation.
Not just like, not just like people, but like sources of information, or like say other facilities or people that I was like, all right, cool, like I was looking forward to their posts. Like at this point, some of them I just like, all right, that's whatever, and I keep going.
how many times can you just look at like a core stabilization exercise and be like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
So with that being said, that was a long-winded way to say like the time that people are trying to invest in having these followers and monetizing off of it might be erroneously having the wrong time being attended to, or excuse me, they might be erroneously putting efforts and time, energy, and attention into, because that 2 years of time could be spent learning something else. Like you building business. That's why I'm saying to you, I'm not faulting you, because you literally built something. November 2017.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You had that conversation at Chicky and Pete's.
That was when it all started.
I don't even think you've intended to do that.
No, at that point, it was one of the options of something that could happen. Like, it wasn't even a business. It was just taking our people into other facilities and making money off of that and paying people to like use space. That's what the initial plan was. Just look to do that.
And then you found something.
And then things just happened.
And that's beautiful. And now you have your own place, and it's pretty dope. And you got space, and you kind of got, I don't want to say made, but you gotta obviously work, but it's a little better than it was.
Right.
When you built it, and think of think about the individuals that I will not name that are probably like sitting online doing whatever, like making posts, like me, like I make posts about random shit. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm coming from. Now I'm not making posts just to make random posts. It's interesting because I always use my social media as a way to express and experiment, because if I can express and experiment correctly and I get a reaction in a good way, that means reaction or some type of like feedback, I know I'm doing things in the right way.
I'll tell you what, you're one thing that we haven't discussed like really in much detail. Yeah, we talked about the bench every day stuff, and like kind of like a general outline of like how to do my training right now. But the bicep stuff, that one protocol that you put up, that was like a big hit. I did that probably twice a week, since you did that post. And yeah, I put on some weight, which is what I wanted to do. I want to get bigger, and it's like the beginning of March, and end of February, I put on like 13 to 15 pounds in that range. And I've even had kids, I had a handful of kids like this week and last week tell me like, you've gotten bigger, or like your arms look bigger. And like my shirts are starting to be a little bit tighter, but like
how many years you been doing arms?
Yeah. And I've noticed it too, like I'm hitting 40s and 45s for 6 to 8 reps now, and it's not like even that challenging. Like 30 for 6 used to be challenging.
There you go, man. That's dope. That's it. It's like super straightforward of information, but it's like so that post was interesting about the biceps, bicep curl, post activation potentiation. It's super different. It's not really like, it's not different, but the principles of post activation potentiation were applied to something that was just really, in my head, it was like, man, this is so naive, and just like, I don't want to say it's not dumb, but it was just like an afterthought, is what I mean.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I've been doing this like this, because like, if post activation works for benching, then why wouldn't it work for bicep curls? And then like, that's kind of where my brain went.
It's like, you always think about like drop sets of like 10 to X amount of reps, like max reps, or high volume. Like when it comes to that, the first day of that thing is 4 and 8, and find something for a heavy set of 4, and like you don't really think about doing, or at least the general eye doesn't really think of doing bicep curls super heavy for low reps that much.
It's interesting because a couple people said that to me, like they started doing it afterwards. And I'm like, have you guys never done that before? like I honestly I do heavy bicep curls. I haven't been doing it as of lately, but I used to do it a lot because I'm like super lazy and I don't feel like doing like 10 to 15 reps at a time. It's just tiring. I'm like, I'd rather do 6 to 8 and just be done with it.
I agree. I mean,
6 to 9.
doing the 4 was nice.
6 to 9 reps and be done with it.
69.
But anyway, it's just like learning, because it's like the things you can learn is infinite at this level. Right? There's such a level of things you can learn. Like you can literally like fucking just look something up, learn about it, and figure it out. And then it's like, well, see if the principles can be applied to your everyday life. That's really where I'm coming from. Because at some point, now let me meld these short-term and long-term together. It's not just short-term stuff to make short-term things. Like, it's so wild, the amount of Instagram profiles that I've seen that literally have just made profile videos off of like doing tennis ball, self-myofascial release videos. I'm like, yo, what is going on? It's crazy. And it's a thing. It's a thing. You can't fault it. It's a product, right? So to meld it, what I'm trying to say is you would have those kind of like technical videos blended with personality of who you are, because long term you have to think you need to like throw in your personality at some point.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. You can't not throw in your personality and have people like who you are. Because so for real stuff, like I know I feel like I'm talking in circles. For somebody to quote unquote follow you and to really follow you, they're gonna have to relate to you. And this is a really big topic that I don't know if I need to get into. But the ability to relate. Imagine if you did your sprinting video that you just put out, right? That took, how many videos of that do you have? It literally took you 1 point something seconds to make, right?
Yeah, it just happened to be the one, he was doing one more. Like, the kids were done, and I'm like, shit, I wish I would have just recorded because I wanted, but the purpose of the video was not as much about the time, it was more so to show other kids that follow me or some of the parents that get some content. So like now, like one initiative that I'm taking is taking my social media content and putting them into my newsletter through P&L, like so that the parents can see more of what goes on and just like kind of just educating them more and just everybody in general. And I just happened to get the video last run that we did. The kid ran the fastest time, so it like all worked out.
That's great. That's awesome. It worked out like that. But what I'm trying to get to is, like, at its essence, that is just a video of a kid sprinting. Albeit it's a really fast sprint, really good sprint. But it doesn't give personality. It doesn't give an idea of who you are, or what TNL is, or who TNL represents, right? So what I'm trying to say is, you would, and you've done this. I know you've done this. I watched your videos. If you have it in a story format, you would have a video prior to that sprinting video and say, hey, this is a really fast video of a kid who is really, really, really fast, really good. He just hit a leaderboard, blah, blah, blah. He hit the leader numbers for our leaderboard. Check out the video and stay tuned for the video after that. So you would do is, you'd show the video. But the third video in the story, or whatever format you're using, you would say, okay, if you come into TNL and, you get 1.2, you get within a certain time for the 10-yard sprints, you get 1 free day of session today, of whenever you come in next.
Yeah, and that's, once you said it that way, like that's right where my head went is either making it technically appealing to the person where they can get benefit out of it, or showing them the value of like, one, I'm praising the kid for doing it, and then it's like creating a challenge that other kids can come into the gym at that point, or if somebody random's like, oh shit, like if I show up and do that, then I can get a free training session.
Or,
Like,
or
just,
something that you, yeah, exactly. So something you could also do is like, if you come in and try to do a flying 10-yard sprint, it doesn't matter your time anymore because we want to not turn people away. You can say this will enter you into a raffle for a free session. Boom.
right.
That's
But like, one thing I did yesterday, and very, very, almost like the identical concept, I was on the phone with one of my business coaches. Like we talked about doing this more, like that's the whole initiative that I'm taking of putting more stuff into my emails so that parents, because they're the ones that pay the bills at the end of the day, not the kids on Instagram. So if they're getting the value and seeing like what their kids are doing or how like, you know, something that can benefit them or send to somebody else, like there's the value. So like instead of just trying to take from people to giving, like I haven't had my store up right now and all the orders are being done, but I explained to everybody why the water bottles are in the store now. Like one, for going green and like environmental,
right.
you know,
Awareness.
sustainability. And I wrote about that and like how much plastic, I did the research and like how much plastic gets made per year and how many products are only used one time, blah, blah, blah. And then at the bottom of the email I said, first 2 people to reply, I want a T&L H2O bottle, get a free water bottle.
Bang.
And I had 7 replies. I had 5 within like literally 10 minutes.
That's dope.
So
That's
it's
it.
like very, you know, identical
You're learning.
concept.
You're learning. That's literally how I would do it too. And it's like starting to make me think. If you start thinking like that, you don't even need the actual platform, because notice that you did. Was that via email?
That was an email, and that's what my coach explained. Because he's like the marketing guy at the varsity house. Like obviously he's one of the coaches, but he takes care of like a lot of the marketing stuff. And he told me that he read a stat. There are like, I forget the exact number, but it's in the billions world that all of the social media profiles and accounts combined.
Yeah, man. Like think about, so this is what I'm talking about. If you're doing the short-term game, say that is your short-term game, and then your mentality never really switches and you're stuck in the short term, all you're doing is just asking for people's money.
Yeah.
Versus long term, it's like, well, why is Connor wanting to sell, like go environmentally green? And then you start to learn more about you.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
And
Because
then, like,
you can apply that. You can apply that to so many platforms. I told the story in an Instagram story. You told it in a newsletter. You could apply it to wherever. Does that make sense? Versus the people that pander to the platform, that's when you're fucked.
Yeah.
Because when you pander to the platform, all you're doing is learning how to make cool-looking posts online without really understanding that if you're on Twitter, an email newsletter, Instagram, Facebook, you can make money. Because the platform doesn't matter. It's just how you tell it.
And I feel there's a lot of, you can put something on multiple platforms at the same time.
I was just gonna say, you could have done that on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and a newsletter email.
Yeah.
And you would have got, not 1 or 2 more, but like, who knows?
Yeah, it's the whole give, take, give, take, that jab, hook.
It's give, ask. It's not take, because when you take it, you're stealing some
Oh,
shit.
yeah. Right.
I'm just being whatever, nuanced. But anyway, that's like, man, that's some real crazy shit. But that wasn't even my ideas from the get-go. That just literally came out like in the moment.
Yeah.
My ideas that I texted you about, it was about having like a library of sorts that people can experience your information when you're not there. So like passively, like you can sign up for Exos. You know,
Like an online experience.
like you can go on Exos right now and sign up for some certification. You can sign up for their courses. You can hear all these people talk when they visited Exos,
Yeah.
and that's a fact. Why is Exos that, like, why are they so good? Like, you know, why just them? P3 Sports Performance, or whatever their name is, Sports Science, with all the basketball players.
Yeah.
They could easily just post something about, like, hey, we're doing a course online. We have all this information from NBA players. Learn about NBA players here. That would be really interesting, because while in its essence, it looks like it's a short-term kind of value. Maybe not short-term is the right word. I'm not using that correctly, I don't think. But in its like face value, it looks like you're selling something. But in like the long term, if you can demonstrate that this is both a sell and a personality thing, I think that might be the like, quote unquote, the way. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.